Senior observer X427 prided themselves on maintaining perfect composure in all situations. Their species, the Arctians, were known throughout the galaxy for their methodical approach to cataloging newly discovered civilizations. But today, for the first time in their 300-cycle career, X427's appendages were trembling as they reviewed the latest data streams from Sol-3. Designation: Earth. Impossible, they muttered, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated severe distress. Run the analysis again. The ship's AI complied silently, its quantum processors humming as they processed the flood of information from the observation satellites carefully hidden throughout Earth's solar system. The results remained unchanged. They did what? X427 demanded, their crystalline structure now flickering between deep purple and alarmed orange. They achieved faster than light travel by accident. The data was unequivocal. While attempting to develop a more efficient way to deliver takeout food, a small human research team had inadvertently created a localized space-time distortion. Instead of seeing this as a potential catastrophe, they had immediately begun running tests to see if they could make it go faster. X427 had been monitoring Earth for precisely one standard galactic cycle. Their mission was simple: observe the primitive species that had recently achieved rudimentary spaceflight and catalog their development for the Grand Archive. It should have been routine. After all, humans had only recently managed to reach their own moon, and they'd done it in such a barbaric fashion that most of the galactic community had written them off as a curiosity at best. The observers' memory crystals pulsed as they recalled their first report. Species demonstrates concerning tendency to solve problems by controlled explosions. Recommend minimal monitoring until they either achieve enlightenment or remove themselves from the galaxy's gene pool. That had been before the coffee incident, as it was now known in classified circles. Humans, apparently dissatisfied with their current methods of caffeine delivery, had somehow created a stable micro-wormhole while trying to brew the perfect cup of coffee. They had then immediately started using it to send coffee to different parts of their planet, completely ignoring the fact that they'd revolutionized physics in the process. Computer. X427's voice crackled with static, a sign of extreme agitation among their kind. Display complete timeline of human technological advancement over the past cycle. The holographic display filled the observation chamber, and X427's crystalline form began to resonate with pure terror. The humans weren't following any known technological development pattern. They weren't even following basic scientific principles. They were just doing things. Want better internet? Launch thousands of satellites. Need more energy? Figure out fusion power while trying to make a better toaster. Space too big. Accidentally break physics while looking for faster food delivery methods. The worst part was their complete lack of proper scientific method. They didn't spend centuries carefully theorizing and testing. They just had ideas and immediately tried them, often with explosive results. And somehow, impossibly, it worked. X427 began composing their emergency report to the Galactic Council. UPDAT. Urgent. Sol-3 classification review required. Previous classification. Primitive spacefaring species, Level 2. Current status. REDACTD. Oh no. In the past cycle, humans have developed FTL capability, accidentally. Created stable micro-wormholes while making beverages. Achieved quantum computing, trying to improve video game graphics. Mastered gravity manipulation, because wouldn't it be cool? Most concerning observation, they appear to be having fun doing it. Recommendation: immediate reclassification and establishment of containment protocols before they decide to fix the rest of the galaxy. As X427 prepared to transmit the report, their sensors detected a new anomaly. Their crystalline form nearly shattered when they realized what they were seeing. A human research team, apparently bored on a Tuesday afternoon, had just discovered a way to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe while trying to create a better phone charger. The Observer added a final note to their report. ADDENDUM may already be too late. They're starting to think our technology looks inefficient. Request immediate evacuation of all observation posts. They're beginning to notice us, and they have suggestions for improvements. The report was sent, and X-427 began emergency shutdown procedures for their observation post. As they prepared to leave, they noticed a human child pointing at their supposedly invisible satellite and asking their parent why that weird crystal thing in the sky was blinking. The Observer's last thought before initiating emergency teleport was a desperate hope that the Council would read their report in time. Humans weren't dangerous because they were hostile. They were dangerous because they were helpful, creative, and completely unconcerned with the impossibility of their achievements. The classification of Earth would indeed change that day, but not to any existing category. They had to create a new one specifically for humans. APQROHH, with say audition, will attempt to upgrade your civilization. The Emergency Council of Galactic Species had never convened so quickly in its 50,000 cycle history. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in stunned silence as they reviewed the footage of what would forever be known as the Coffee Incident. High Chancellor Zix-9, a being of pure energy contained within a ceremonial quantum field, flickered anxiously as they played the recording for the third time. The footage showed a small human research facility in something called Seattle, where a group of scientists had been attempting to create what they termed the perfect cup of coffee. Let me understand this correctly. Zix-9's voice resonated through the chamber. They were trying to enhance the efficiency of their stimulant extraction process. Correct, High Chancellor, responded Chief Scientific Advisor Kluth, their tentacles writhing in obvious distress. They believed their current coffee-making methods were, quote, taking too long before meetings. The footage continued playing. The humans had apparently decided that waiting 4 minutes for coffee was totally unreasonable and had set out to create an instantaneous brewing method. What they had actually created was a localized temporal displacement field that not only made coffee instantly, but also accidentally proved several of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations' fundamental theories about space-time completely wrong. But that's not the worst part. Kluths continued, their tentacles now tied in actual knots. Watch what they did next. The Council watched in horror as the humans, upon discovering they had created a device that could manipulate the fabric of reality, immediately began testing if it could work on other beverages. Within hours, they had inadvertently created a unified field theory of quantum gastronomy. They're not even following proper scientific protocols, shouted Representative Blorp of the Methane Collective. Where are their 1,000-cycle observation periods? Their carefully documented theoretical frameworks. They're just doing things. It gets worse, Kluth said, switching to another feed. This is from yesterday. A human graduate student was trying to figure out why their coffee machine was making a strange noise. The footage showed a young human hitting their malfunctioning coffee maker with something called a wrench. The impact had somehow caused the temporal displacement field to interface with the machine's heating element, creating what the humans had casually termed a time-temperature paradox. They have then immediately started using it to send hot coffee to themselves in the past, creating a closed temporal loop of perfect coffee delivery. Do they not understand the implications of casual temporal manipulation? Demanded Representative Zixt of the Silicon Consciousness. The fabric of reality could have been torn apart. Oh, they understood, Kluth replied grimly. They just decided it was, quote, worth the risk for better coffee. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Some representatives were demanding immediate quarantine of the Sol system. Others were suggesting studying human methods, despite the obvious dangers. A few were simply trying to process the fact that humans had revolutionized temporal mechanics while trying to improve their morning beverage routine. High Chancellor Zix-9 called for order by increasing their luminosity to near blinding levels. What are they doing with this technology now? Cliffs pulled up the latest surveillance feeds. They've started a business. They're calling it quantum coffee when you wanted it yesterday. They're using localized temporal displacement fields to deliver coffee to customers before they even place their orders. And the temporal paradoxes, someone asked. They wrote an app to handle them. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of Representative Blort, stress dissolving into their methane-based state. There's one more thing, Cliffs added reluctantly. They've started complaining that our standard faster-than-light drives are, quote, kind of slow and inefficient. A team of baristas in Portland has already submitted a patent for what they're calling a quantum foam latte drive. And does it work? Zix9 asked, dreading the answer. It's 300% more efficient than our best drives. They discovered it while trying to make better milk foam for their cappuccinos. The council sat in stunned silence, trying to process the implications. Humanity hadn't just stumbled upon advanced technology. They had fundamentally changed the way the galaxy understood innovation itself. They didn't see impossible problems. They just saw inconveniences waiting to be fixed, preferably before their next coffee break. We must revise our classification of Earth immediately, Zix9 declared. But first, I move that we establish new protocols for monitoring human beverage development programs. If they can do this with coffee, imagine what might happen if they decide their alcoholic beverages aren't efficient enough. The motion passed unanimously, even as reports began coming in about a small brewery in Milwaukee that had accidentally created a quantum entanglement field while trying to develop a better head of foam for their beer. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in Seattle, a barista was looking at their shop's new quantum coffee maker and thinking, this could probably be faster. The first contact diplomatic mission to Earth was proceeding exactly as Senior Ambassador Vexilanda had feared, which is to say, it was an absolute disaster. The ambassador's environmental suit crackled with static as they watched a human engineer casually violate several fundamental laws of physics while fixing their ship's propulsion system. Please, Vexilanda's translator wheezed, struggling to convert their crystalline harmonics into human speech. Your assistance is not required. Our vessels are designed to the highest galactic standards. Yeah, but your efficiency rating is terrible. The human engineer, Sarah Chen, interrupted while elbow-deep in the ship's quantum drive. Look at all this wasted energy. Who designed this anyway? It's like they never heard of quantum tunneling optimization. The ambassador's crystalline form flickered in distress as they watched the human make unauthorized modifications to technology that had taken their civilization 10,000 cycles to perfect. The worst part was that the changes were working. But how? Another member of the diplomatic team whispered, their own crystalline matrix pulsing with confusion. She's using a tool designed for maintaining primitive internal combustion engines. Socket wrench, Sarah corrected absently, tightening something that absolutely should not have been adjustable. Sometimes you just need to give advanced technology a good whack to get it working properly. Haven't you guys ever heard of percussive maintenance? The diplomatic team watched in horror as their ship's efficiency readings jumped by 400%. Sarah wiped her hands on her coveralls, leaving smudges of what appeared to be both quantum residue and something called coffee. There you go. I also fixed that weird wobble you had in the artificial gravity generator. Turns out you just needed to recalibrate the quantum field harmonics. Oh, and I added a cup holder. The cup holder, Vexilanda noted with growing hysteria, appeared to be defying several laws of temporal physics to keep beverages at the perfect temperature. Meanwhile, across the diplomatic compound, another crisis was unfolding. A human IT specialist had taken one look at the Galactic Communication Network security protocols and declared them kind of cute, but seriously outdated. Your entire encryption system is based on quantum entanglement. Tom Rodriguez, the IT specialist, had asked while typing faster than the alien observers could follow. That's a good start, but what about quantum superposition cascades? Here, let me show you something cool. Within hours, he had rewritten the fundamental protocols of a communication system that served half the galaxy. When asked how he had managed to improve a system that took millennia to develop, he shrugged and said, "I got bored during a Zoom meeting last week and started thinking about it. The diplomatic mission's cultural exchange wasn't faring any better." During what was supposed to be a formal presentation on galactic governance, a political science student in the audience had pointed out several obvious inefficiencies in the Galactic Council's decision-making process. "Have you guys considered using blockchain?" she asked, already pulling up a presentation on her tablet. "I did my thesis on decentralized governance systems. Here, I mocked up a quick prototype." By the end of the day, the human had accidentally designed a new form of government that somehow combined quantum computing, social media algorithms, and something called Reddit upvotes into a system that was demonstrably more effective than 10,000 years of careful political evolution. Vex and Landa sat in their temporary office, trying to compose their daily report to the Galactic Council. How could they explain that humans weren't just advancing too quickly? They were actively dragging the rest of the galaxy along with them. The report began, Day 37 of diplomatic contact. Humans have fixed the following without permission. Our quantum drive now runs on something called clean energy. The Galactic Communication Network now has something called emoji support. The fundamental structure of galactic governance now includes meme reviews. The space-time continuum. They added Wi-Fi. A knock at the door interrupted their reporting. It was Sarah again, looking entirely too enthusiastic. "Hey, Ambassador. I was looking at your universal translator, and I think I found a way to make it run better. Also, why are you guys still using quantum entanglement for FTL communication when you could just use Instagram direct messages? Here, let me show you." Gevex Landa's crystalline form pulsed with resignation as they added a final note to their report. "URGNTUPDAT. Humans have begun helping with our technology. Request immediate guidelines on how to politely decline assistance that is simultaneously unauthorized, impossible, and inexplicably superior to our existing systems. P.S. They've started asking questions about our faster-than-light travel methods. Preliminary estimates suggest they will fix it within the week. May the void have mercy on us all." As if to punctuate this point, a distant eureka could be heard from the direction of the ship's engine room, followed by the distinctive sound of physics having a nervous breakdown. The age of diplomatic relations had begun. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in the diplomatic compound, a human was looking at ancient alien technology and thinking, this could probably be more user-friendly. The Grand Galactic Institute of Advanced Mathematics and Physics was experiencing its first crisis in 12,000 cycles. Dr. X Sigma, the Institute's most renowned theoretical physicist, stared at the human research paper with all 7 of their optical organs, trying to comprehend what they were seeing. "This can't be correct," they muttered, their tentacles curling in academic distress. They solved the unified field equations by doodling during a lunch break. The paper in question had been submitted by Dr. Emily Chen, a human physicist who had apparently cracked one of the galaxy's greatest mathematical mysteries while eating something called a sandwich. Her solution included several crude drawings on what appeared to be a napkin, along with notes like, "What if we just?" and "Probably works better this way." But where are the 1,000 pages of preliminary calculations? Dr. X Sigma demanded to their assembled colleagues. The centuries of careful theoretical framework. The proper academic formatting. "She says she had a hunch," one of the junior researchers replied, their crystalline form clouded with confusion, "and apparently solved it between bites of something called a BLT." The situation only got worse when they began reviewing other human mathematical contributions. A graduate student had solved the millennium-old quantum paradox theorem while waiting for their laundry to dry. Their solution included the phrase, "Lol, what if we flip it," as a key theoretical foundation. In another case, A human teenager had corrected a fundamental error in the galaxy's standard faster-than-light calculations while procrastinating on their homework. Their correction note simply read, doing it backwards now. This isn't mathematics. Dr. X Sigma exclaimed, their tentacles now tied in theoretical knots. They're just guessing. Educated guessing, corrected Dr. Chen, who had somehow appeared in their supposedly secure conference room. We call it intuition. Also, I couldn't help but notice your quantum field equations are really overcomplicated. Want me to take a look? The assembled alien scientists watched in horror as Dr. Chen grabbed a marker and began writing directly on their sacred equation board. She was humming something called Shake It Off, while casually revolutionizing their understanding of quantum mechanics. See, you guys are thinking about it too hard, she explained, drawing what appeared to be a stick figure surfing on a wave function. If you just imagine quantum particles as tiny surfer dudes riding probability waves, it all makes way more sense. But that's not how scientific advancement works, protested Dr. X Sigma. You can't just use metaphors and intuition to. They stopped as Dr. Chen's equations began solving themselves on the board, proving not only that you could, in fact, use surfing metaphors to explain quantum mechanics, but that doing so somehow made the math work better. Meanwhile, in another part of the institute, a human computer science student was explaining to a panel of AI researchers why their approach to machine learning was kind of doing it the hard way. They had apparently rewritten the fundamental principles of artificial intelligence while waiting for their video game to install. Your neural networks are too rigid, the student, Jake Martins, explained while eating something called Hot Pockets. You need to let them vibe more. Here, I made some changes to your code during loading screens. The changes, much to everyone's confusion and dismay, had increased AI efficiency by 800% and given all the Institute's research computers a sense of humor. Dr. X Sigma retreated to their office to compose an emergency report to the Galactic Science Council. URGNT. Human mathematical practices are spreading. They are solving complex theoretical problems with intuition, metaphors, vibes, something called winging it. Most disturbing development. It's working. Request immediate protocol for dealing with species that can achieve in minutes what takes our best mind centuries, apparently while doing other things. P.S. They've started looking at our cosmological models. Dr. Chen says they're pretty good but could use some tweaking. Requesting emergency evacuation before they redesign the universe. As if on cue, an excited shout echoed through the Institute's halls. Hey, has anyone ever thought about why dark matter acts that way? I think I figured it out during my coffee break. The sound that followed was the collective groan of an entire scientific community realizing that humans weren't just breaking the rules of physics, they were rewriting them, and they were doing it between snacks. In their office, Dr. X Sigma added a final desperate note to their report. They're starting to teach our young researchers their methods. Yesterday, I heard one of our most promising theoretical physicists say, "Let's try it and see what happens. We may already be too late." Somewhere in the Institute, a human was looking at the fundamental equations of the universe and thinking, this could probably be simplified. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every spacefaring civilization had gathered for what many were already calling the Humanity Crisis Summit. The massive quantum crystal dome buzzed with nervous energy as High Chancellor Zix9 called the emergency session to order. We are gathered today, the Chancellor's voice resonated through the chamber, to address the most significant classification error in galactic history. Our initial assessment of Earth as mostly harmless requires immediate revision. The holographic display activated, showing a timeline of human achievements over the past galactic standard year. The list scrolled continuously, causing several representatives to lose their molecular cohesion in shock. In the past 300 rotations alone, the Chancellor continued, their energy form flickering with stress. Humans have redesigned our quantum drive systems because they were too slow, solved 5 millennium-old mathematical problems while taking coffee breaks, created a unified theory of everything using surf metaphors, introduced memes to our ancient quantum AI systems, made our universal translators support something called emoji. Representative Blore, recently reconstituted after their previous stress dissolution, raised of pseudopod. But surely we can contain. They were interrupted by an urgent message flashing across the chamber's info screens. A human graduate student had just solved the galaxy's energy crisis while trying to make their phone battery last longer. "That's the problem," exclaimed Chief Scientific Advisor Cliff, their tentacles now permanently knotted from stress. "They're not just advancing. They're advancing by accident. They achieve in moments what takes us millennia, and half the time they're not even trying." The chamber erupted into chaos as another report came in. A human child had apparently fixed the paradox in their time travel equations while drawing with crayons. Their solution included several dinosaur stickers and worked perfectly. High Chancellor Zix9 pulsed their energy form to restore order. "We must decide on Earth's new classification immediately. The current situation is untenable." A junior analyst nervously approached the central platform. "We've analyzed their problem-solving methods, and, well, they don't make sense. They just look at complex problems and say things like, 'What if we tried this?' Or 'Wouldn't it be cool if?'" The analyst's crystalline form shuddered. "And somehow it works." The display showed footage from various human research facilities. In one, scientists were improving faster-than-light technology while playing something called table tennis. In another, a programmer was revolutionizing quantum computing because they were bored during a meeting. But the most concerning development, the Chancellor continued, is their attitude toward efficiency. They keep looking at our most advanced technology and calling it clunky. The chamber fell silent. In galactic terms, calling something clunky was just one step away from saying those dreaded words. "I can fix that for you." Suddenly, all the chamber systems simultaneously upgraded themselves. The universal translators now included context-aware sarcasm detection, and the quantum processors were running something called RGB lighting effects. "They're in our systems," someone shouted. Actually, a human voice called from the back of the chamber, "We've been helping your IT department update some stuff. Hope you don't mind. Your network security looked a bit outdated." The assembled representatives turned to see Sarah Chen, now somehow the head of Galactic Technical Support, standing with a tablet and a cup of coffee. "By the way, we noticed your faster-than-light communication network was running kind of slow, so we optimized it. You can now send memes across the galaxy instantly." A High Chancellor's energy form flickered in resignation as they began drafting Earth's new classification. Earth Classification UPDAT. Previous status: mostly harmless. New status: Oh good TKHY. Helping. Warning: humans will fix things that aren't broken, improve things that don't need improvement, solve impossible problems because it seemed fun, accidentally revolutionize entire fields of science while doing something else. Recommendation: accept their help but maintain a safe distance when they say, "I have an idea." As the new classification was being filed, reports came in that humans had already begun upgrading the galactic classification system itself, making it more user-friendly, and adding something called dark mode. The age of human innovation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Somewhere on Earth, a human was looking at the fundamental structure of the universe itself and thinking, this could probably be more efficient. In the end, the galaxy learned to adapt. After all, resistance was not only futile, it was inefficient, and humans had already thought of several ways to improve it.